Welcome to Page Turners. I am Corey Gladwell, and with me is my co-host and best friend and business partner, Corey Fradin.
Hello, so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yes, as well.
And thank you for the coffee as well.
Yeah, of course.
I appreciate that. So let's dive in.
Take it away.
Let's talk about dance parties. Let's talk about festivals.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Where do we want to go?
You want me to start?
Yeah.
Do you want me to ask you a question?
It's up to you. We can talk about. I was thinking about like festivals, dancing. That's not why we're here.
Speaking of dancing,
that's not why we're here.
Yeah, we have so many questions. Speaking of dancing, let's go a complete left turn. Or do you want to take it away? Do you want to ask first question?
I do. I was going to ask you a question about some fulfillment things.
Great.
Specifically, why do books matter? Why should we write them?
Well,
Who writes them?
It's a silly question, but also, I mean, if you're being sincere, it is a good question.
It is a good question.
I personally love books.
I do too.
So what I love about our business so much is I love reading so much. I'm constantly reading books or listening to books or anything related to books. There have been so many books that have changed my life. That might be a whole other side podcast. It's just like favorite books, but so many good books that have changed my life. So what I love, and we talk about this with the team frequently, because last time we talked about this all the time. So I'm going to say frequently today.
We talk about everything all the time.
All the time
we talk a lot. I think is the core. Yeah, is the core
Absolutely.
idea here.
But we've been talking about this. Well, we've always talked about this with the team, or I don't know about always. We've been doing it a lot.
Yeah.
What we do is so cool because the books that we write for our clients get into the hands of readers whose lives it will change. When they do speaking engagements, the clients, the people in the audience, it changes their lives, which changes their family, their relationships. For the consulting clients that they end up working with, it changes their lives. And it has this huge ripple effect. And to that point, like I've thought of, there have been so many books that I've read over the years that have completely changed. Oh, we did talk about this. Like
this butterfly effect.
The butterfly effect, like have changed how I navigate my personal finances, the business finances, like how I, like my relationships with people, physical health, mental health, all that stuff. Yeah. And so to be part of that process of making the world better by sharing these cool experiences, it is so cool. Our clients are, we say this again all the time, our clients are so cool.
It's true.
It's a kind of a bummer with the NDA that we can't be like, and this is why that one's cool, and that one's cool. But just like some very high level executives working in some very cool positions, working with some very big, like different government agencies or very well known companies. It's super
funny.
cool.
On the last one I mentioned, I was like FBI, CIA, and I was like going over the things, and then we were talking this last week. And you were like this one, and I was like, okay. There's a lot of those. There's a lot of those in there.
A lot of the acronyms.
A lot of the alphabet soup is in there.
Speaking of speaking gigs.
Let's talk about talking.
Let's talk about talking. So let's say you're doing this on your own. You have a book. Let's say you manage to do the bestseller launch, and you get there on your own, and now you want to leverage that to start doing speaking engagements. What is that, or even consulting? Like, what does that process look like? Is it just something they say? Is there something they're trying to hand off or show? Or like, how would you go about landing some engagements with that book?
Absolutely, yeah. So it's a great question. First of all,
thank you so much.
Great question. You got a lot of great questions. Yes, a lot of great questions.
Thanks for having me.
That's exactly what I did with my first book. Like I figured out the launch part of it, and then from that ended up getting speaking engagements, consulting. The first year post the first book launch brought an additional $370,000 in new added annual revenue from speaking and consulting. And so it's the same thing. Like, so if obviously with our clients, we show them step by step how to do this, and we can dive into that a little bit deeper. But for anyone that has a book that's like, hey, I did, like you said, they already did it. They did a launch. They got to a bestseller. What does that next step look like? Well, really, the book itself is the vehicle to that success. It's the key to unlock that door. It's the reason to have that conversation with a podcast host, or with a TV host, or with the someone who is the decision maker at this conference or this convention. And so what we do for our clients, and it's a little sneak peek in here of some of the consulting, really high level. But when we get our clients, the amazing book is written from the amazing team that we have. We launch them to a bestseller. What is that next step for speaking? So it's going through, okay, here is the top 5, let's say, as an example, conferences and conventions that are going to be the best places for me to speak at, given my genre or given your genre, whoever you are out there with this imaginary book. And you find in that niche, that industry. And you probably know these, right? If you're a professional and executive, whatever it is, those main places that you should be in front of your ideal audience and your industry, your niche. Find those top 5 places. And then look on the website for the event or the conference or the convention. Find the decision maker. Like, who is that person? Who's that point person that gets the yes or no? or who is the person on there that gets to the person that has the yes or no. From there, obviously, you can apply probably on a page, or you can find their contact info and email them. The key thing is then from there, taking their information and then going onto your LinkedIn and then putting it in your LinkedIn, doing a search, and then from there going, oh, am I, how many degrees of Kevin Bacon am I away from this person? LinkedIn is really good at that, right? That network effect. So finding out how many degrees of Kevin Bacon or whatever am I away from this person, and do I know someone, or do I know someone who knows someone that can do a kind of soft, warm introduction? Now that becomes an easier conversation. If you don't, now it's like, hey, here's these 3, 4, 5 emails that you should send. Here's what those messages look like on LinkedIn. Here's who else you should reach out to. Look at the speaker list if there already is one. Do you know any of those speakers? Do you know anyone who knows any of those speakers via Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn? And start building that conversation up, right? And I think the biggest thing for speaking, and this can be virtual events, podcast, it can be speaking engagement, speaking from the stage, is trying to figure out not only just getting those, because let's say you do all that. Let's say someone's watching this right now and they go, okay, I did all that. Now I got booked to speak at this place, but now what? Like I don't know what do I do? Well, you should have your talk titles, right? So that's something else that we go over in the consulting. Is like here's your book, and then here's your business, your consulting, or your offering, whatever that is, or maybe you just want to do speaking. Because we have a variety of different clients that want these different options. And so what would be the top 3 or 5 talk titles, subjects that you would speak on? How long are those? What do they look like? And helping them refine those and figure out those. And then from there, you have your speaker one sheet. So making sure you have your speaker one sheet that has a beautiful picture of you, and you're a best-selling author, usually, international best-selling author since we launched them globally. And then what your talk titles are, and then all the features, right? So that's part of all that, the PR features. They've been on Business Insider, Yahoo Finance, NBC, ABC, whatever it is. Then they have that all on there. Here's their social following. That speaker one sheet is going to make it such an easier decision for the decision maker of that event or conference or convention to click and either download it or see it on your website and go, okay, here's who they are, here's their reach, here's their audience, here's their talk titles. This fits perfectly, boom. Right. And then the same thing is that sizzle reel we talked about too, that 30-second, 60-second, Outback Steakhouse video, where you have kind of this little brief commercial of yourself. So
that was a callback, I think, to our, just for those listening, I think that was a callback to the last recording we did. Okay, you can go back. But basically, it's like a 30 to 60-second highlight reel of you speaking and stuff.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Cool.
And what's funny is I was talking to one of our clients yesterday about this, and he was like, "Oh, I didn't even think about that. I should probably go and find," because I'm like, "Have you done any speaking? And whether it's again virtual or on a website, on a podcast or on stage." And he's like, "Yeah, I did this. I did a podcast yesterday, and I did this, and then I spoke from the stage here." He actually has his own events he does.
Nice.
And I'm like, gather all of those. And then he's like, "Oh, I was also featured as like top 10% of 2024 for some." Great. Huge thing. He's like, and I was like, I forgot about that. I'm like, it's cool that that's where you're at. You're so successful. You just forgot that you were top, whatever.
Yeah.
But get that list of those. Get all of your PR. Make sure you have all the links everywhere you've been featured, whether it's from us or something you've done yourself or your team has done. Gather all of that, all those video clips, and then make that little highlight reel of your speaking. So having those things gives that decision maker a really easy, it's how do we make it frictionless? Right. If I'm trying frictionless, I think I said that weird.
I was wondering if you're going to circle back to it. It's the friction list.
It's actually, a friction list. I know. I said it, and then I was like, "That's not what I meant." And I was like, "Let me."
Good for you. I don't know if I would have. I don't know if I.
I have to call it out. I have to call it out.
Someone's listening.
It's like someone. There's at least 5 people. I think we have 9 subscribers or something like that. So we have a couple followers.
Well, we'll see. Maybe by the time they're listening, we have more.
22.
Probably more.
Maybe 30.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
We're punching down on ourselves.
Yeah. We are. It's it's like a humble brag.
Yeah.
We're only at 50,000 or whatever.
Well, it's like our fourth recording. Right?
Yeah, and people have only seen 2, probably.
Welcome to your first episode.
Hello.
Of those listening.
Yeah.
Welcome subscriber number 10.
Exactly. Yeah.
We're so excited to be here.
Someone's like, "This is just let me see."
Realistically, I mean, they'll probably
just fail miserably. I'm going to subscribe to watch this thing.
Actually, watch this. Welcome our 6,000th subscriber.
Ooh,
We're so sorry for you to be here. It's a pleasure.
Emoji reaction from the Zoom camera.
Yeah.
There's not one on here, but imagine. So anyway, so having those things makes it frictionless. So it's like if someone's going to make a decision, frictionless, it's a new word, look it up. It makes it an option, an easier choice for them to make. Like, you don't want them to have to think too thoroughly about this. You know, how do I do this? What do they do? And if they have to like kind of try really hard to figure it out, is like, what do you talk about? What are your titles? What are you, what are you an expert in? All of that makes it difficult. And the key thing with having a best-selling book is that that's like the easiest thing to get in the door for speaking, for interviews, for all kinds of different things, because you're like, oh, I wrote the book on it, and here's this, and then the door's just open. I mean, not right away, but you still got to put the work in. But it
makes
easier.
It so much easier to get you from the door. Like, I remember when I was doing my years ago when I was doing my self-improvement blog, Quick Boost 3 O's.
I love that one.
It's not around anymore, but
it was great.
During that time, I was featured in places like Forbes and like Entrepreneur or whatever. And so the amount of responses, like if I was reaching out to someone and it was pre having any social proof, like, hey, I'm just a person, nice to meet you, whatever. No responses. But then ever since it's like, hey, just nice to meet you, I've been featured in these places, whatever, and like so many responses. So it's the same thing with this. Like, it's an immediate credibility booster. Not only saying like bestseller, but like Business Insider, all these different things.
All the features and the PR. Yeah.
It's not only it makes you feel more confident going into it, but then the amount of replies you're going to get in proportion to what you may have gone before is like vastly different.
1,000%. I like that blog.
Me too.
Remember we used to hike?
Yeah,
and
I liked
you were
it too.
like a blog every single day.
Yeah, I wrote a blog post every day for like a year. Yeah, it was good. I liked it. I had a good time with it. My enjoyment in wrapping things up was like, cool, now that I'm officially done with this, I'm now going to officially close it.
I love it. Like, that's very much a you thing.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if from a longevity, like, I don't know if I could probably still be getting search results right now. But
yeah. I know.
What can you do?
I remember talking to you about it.
And you're like, I don't know.
I was like, you should just keep it there.
I'm like, I already shut it down.
Nope, it's done.
It's redirected. It's now redirected to my personal site.
I'm over it. It's done. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
This is great.
Yeah, I can only do the one thing.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Okay, cool. That was super helpful.
Yeah.
Would it be a similar process for consulting? Like, instead of reaching out to, let's say, the speaker, the conference coordinator, you're reaching out to, let's say, a founder, or how would you go about using the book for consulting or coaching?
That's a great question.
Really quick for coaching, I would imagine if you're doing the talk, people come up to you after the fact and say, like, hey, will you do one-on-one coaching? Or is that kind of a similar thing for consulting as well? Like, is speaking a good gateway for that?
Yeah.
It's all gateways. It's stepping stones to stepping stones.
It's right.
Am I taking your words?
It's Pebble Beach.
Yeah,
it's Pebble Beach. That's it. It's stepping stones to stepping stones.
That's it.
No, you take those words.
The end goal is just to get more coaching clients. But so far, you've done a best-selling book, to land a speaking gig, to land a consulting client, to land a one-on-one coaching client.
That's pretty much it.
And you've made the path.
Yes, and then there's more. There's more pebbles on pebbles. Yeah.
What comes after that?
Once you have the one-on-ones, then you get a lot of great results. Once you have those great results, then you do a group coaching offer.
Then you start adding more people.
100 people a week on a Wednesday for 2 hours.
Sure. So now you go.
Now you host your own event.
smaller until you can start adding people on.
And then you convert it into a course.
And then you sell stadiums.
And then you sell a $500 course or a $500 ticket to your event.
Yes.
And then you bring in Kevin Hart and you're 10xing Grant Cardone.
That's so funny. I was going to say Kevin Hart too. Yeah, we're dialed in.
He's big. He's everywhere.
Oh, I just heard about him for the first time.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm kidding.
No, it's a height thing. Short kings.
Not sure.
Anyways, I'm going to get a lot of hate mail for that one. But not that anyone.
Right,
no one's ever going to mail me.
10th subscriber.
No one's ever going to mail me.
Livid. How dare you?
Unsubscribe. We're back to 9.
Back to 9. Or 6,000.
Say short king one more time.
It's actually I mean, it's a positive term. Anyways,
it is. Yeah.
Let's keep going.
Anyway, so Kevin Hart. Okay, so the segue from speaking to consulting. So to your point though, like, so with speaking, there's a few different options too, as far as like why do you want to speak, right? Why do people want to speak? Besides, it's cool, you want to be a motivational speaker or get keynotes. What is the reasoning? Majority of the time, it's money, right? They want to be paid. They also want to get their message out, their impact, to grow. So when you're going to speak, every event is going to have something different. So this is not a blanket statement for every single event's going to be the same. Or some variation of this, but mostly what you're going to see is either you're going to first book somewhere. If you don't have a ton of speaking experience, you're going to first book somewhere, and maybe it's free, right? And then you just fly out. You're getting great experience, exposure for yourself, speaking to someone else's audience. If you get to do it in that way, you always want to try to negotiate getting paid, obviously, and the more you do, the more you get paid, getting your expenses paid, everything else, right? But as you will work that way up on those pebbles, right? you're you're going to start with potentially doing something for free and speaking. When you do that, what you want to try to negotiate, if they don't want to pay you up front for whatever event it is, what you want to try to do is say, hey, can I put a book on every seat, right? Or
Oh, yes, we talked about
that. Yeah. Or can I sell my consulting? Can I offer my coaching, my consulting, my services, whatever it is, from the stage? So then that talk is going to be a little bit different. Now you're speaking to sell, which is going to be a different talk than just giving massive value. You want to give massive value, but then you have to structure it in a way that you're doing kind of an offering,
call to action,
and thinking of like a video sales letter or a webinar, but now it's just condensed into a talk on stage. Same format though. You got your bonuses, you got your whatever, you got your like, who am I? Who is this for? Who is it not for? So structuring those talks properly, especially when they're in a sales process, is going to be really important, because if they're not going to pay you for that speaking engagement, you want to get paid on the back end from coaching, consulting, whatever services you have. Book sales aren't going to matter as much, but giving your book out is great, because then you get people to read your book, get reviews, all of that, and it puts you in top of mind for them. It's much better than just saying, hey, like, here I am on stage. So there's that. And then if you can get paid to speak on stage, now you're going to get paid to speak on stage, 2,500, 5,000, 10,000. I was talking to another client yesterday about speaking from the stage, and he was saying at one of his events, he was looking for speakers, and the guy from Rudy, like the main actor from Rudy, who hasn't been anything for a long time, is still doing speaking at events, like motivational speaking or something like that. And it was
like, what a good talk for that guy,
right? Yeah. And it was like something like $25,000 or something to book him. And he was just blown away. He's like, I didn't book him, and I don't know what his talk show looked like. I haven't seen anything. So he's like, but I didn't book him. But then he found another guy that was like a Paralympic athlete that had like the one leg or the two legs missing. I can't remember one of those. But that guy was like 11,000 is motivational, very motivational.
People are blown away when they find out how much money is in speaking engagements.
That's the core point.
It's fantastic.
Yes, exactly. It's like, they're like, wait, and so that's why I set the bar so low. And you know this about me. Anytime we talk to clients or anything else, or on the podcast or whatever else, I'm always just like the lowest expectations, because it's like, then when the reality hits and it's way better, it feels a lot better, under promise, over deliver. But yeah, you start off at 2,500, then 5,000, then 10, then 15, 20, 25, 50, 100,000, whatever it is. You can work your way up to those levels of getting paid for an hour, 2 hours, doing a workshop, whatever that thing may be, and or selling your services as well, to build up that coaching and consulting program. Do you want me to answer the consulting question now? I kind of went on the tangent of the speaking thing. I don't know.
I mean, it's up to you. I'm down to switch
friction up. List. I'll come back to the consulting. Let's switch it up. Let's talk about word count.
What's your question?
So one question we get a lot.
Yeah.
Like speaking with the sales team yesterday, like our full sales team and marketing team, had one of our stand-ups. One of the questions that a lot of people always ask us is like, how many chapters is it? What's the word count look like? How do you decide this? How do you, and obviously we've talked about like quality of the book, choosing the right writers, all the thing for the client. But what does that look like? Walk us, me and Cole basically through.
Yeah.
And subscriber number 10. Shout out to you, number 10. I'm going to find out who that is. Shout out Cole. You're phenomenal, Cole.
Yeah, he's flexing in the corner.
He is. He's always flexing. He stays flexing.
He's always flexing.
Yeah. So walk us through that. Walk us through those choices.
So generally speaking, our books are about 50,000 words. It comes out to about 12 chapters. And sometimes we have sections, sometimes we don't. Like section 1, 2, 3, chapters 1 through 4, whatever.
Right.
Just kind of over the years found that is just a good length.
Right.
When we get it down into formatting, we normally do like the 5x8 size. So it comes out to, 120, 150 pages, sometimes 200, depending on
the book and everything, yeah.
But that's a very nice size. So because a lot of our books are like business books, personal development books, we've obviously worked with a lot of different clients on a lot of different things, but a lot of them tend to focus on those things.
Yeah.
And that is just a perfect size and a perfect length for those kind of books. It's approachable. It looks nice. It feels like a good book in your hand. So that's generally how we
really
do it.
Does, yeah.
And then also it gives the writing team consistency of like, okay, I know how to pace these. So every chapter is this many words. Every subchapter is this many words.
Right.
Character counts and all that stuff. So it adds consistency for the team. It adds kind of that perfect reader experience for the actual reader. So that's how we end up doing the word count.
Yeah, which is great. I love that. I love that. Because and there's obviously variety. Sometimes we get up to 55 or somewhere around there. But having that kind of consistent, that 150 to 200 pages, the 5x8, 5.5 by 8.5, whatever it may be for paperback, hardcover, whatever versions, it does like you said, it gives the reader a good experience because you feel like you have a book that's like, this is worth reading. This is a real book. It's not a pamphlet. And then it's also,
not intimidating.
It's not Peter Attia's,
Yes.
Outlive. That's like this. I mean, I bought it.
Yeah, it's not
I say
Ayn
this in
Rand.
probably every episode.
Yeah.
He's never going to hear this, but I apologize if he ever does.
We're doing a
It's
lot of
such
negative
a-
law of attraction on this one.
We're doing a lot
of
for
downshift
us.
manifesting.
We are. I think it's humble brags. It's kind of how I feel like it's a humble brag thing. You know what I mean? Because I feel really good about it. I like Peter.
Okay.
I like Peter's content.
Yeah, he'll see it.
He probably. I mean, he might.
He'll be like, "Whoa, they brought it
Wow.
up on Page Turners."
Wow. Corey
I've really
Gladwell
made
and
it.
Corey Fradin.
They brought it
There's
up on the
35 views on this. Oof, I better republish that
They
book.
did it again. We're punching up. We got to punch up with manifestation.
What's funny is there's
Manifestation.
What's funny is like just doing this reverse psychology humble brag on ourselves. There's going to be like 100,000 views on just this one episode.
Yeah. Just the one short.
Just the one
that we share.
Just that one short about this. They're like, yeah, there you go again.
And Peter T comments on it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
It's a great book, by the way, just in case everyone ever watches it.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Hit me with the juice.
Hit me with the juice. So one thing, a lot of these, what we like to do is ask each other frequently asked questions. A big one we get
FAQs,
all the time.
baby.
FAQs. One big one we get all the time, which I feel like we've probably talked about every episode, but let's just keep talking about it.
Why not?
How do you guarantee a bestseller? We get asked that all the time from everybody, always.
A handshake and a hug.
A handshake and a hug and a
That's
wish.
it. Yeah. I sign in blood.
Sign in blood.
Met
and
a little
then,
bit of magic.
Yeah, just a lot of.
That went dark. Went Disney Plus. So, how do we guarantee a bestseller? Great question. So, and again, like you said, we've talked about it every episode, but it is something that people always ask, even though we have it on these amazing episodes, peoples. So when we do the bestseller launch, so a lot of times we're doing that research ahead of time. So if we know your industry is something to do with career planning or jobs and career coaching or consulting, or if you're an executive coach or executive consultant, or if you're in shipping and receiving or real estate or whatever thing your industry is, your niche, we're going to research every single book in that category. We're going to figure out what the keywords are. We're going to look at, and we'll double click on the covers in a sec too. We're going to look at the covers, and we're going to look at all these different things, and then we're going to look at sales. What is driving the organic searches? What is driving the actual sales? What ads are working? What aren't? On Amazon, and so all that research gives us a lot of data to be able to build the listing correctly for the client as the kind of first part of it. So like we have to have the right keywords, the right title and subtitle. All those things matter in the search results and the organic on Amazon. The right book cover, all of that. Additionally, what we're going to have is the actual launch itself. So when we do the launch, we have some email partners that we work with. So JV, joint venture partners, that we work with that have different communities of clients, of book buyers, book readers. Maybe they bought courses, whatever else, but it could be anywhere from 250 to up to 1 million different people, depending on the niche in the industry. And so they're able to, you hear that honk honk?
I did, but I'm like, how am I even hearing that? I don't even know where it's coming from.
Honk. It came from in here and in here.
Great.
So then they're
We're in
gonna
a fun mood today.
We are. I'm loving it. These are my favorite ones.
Are they?
They are.
Okay, great. You're kind of silly. I'm kind of sour. I'm like, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, silly and sour.
Silly
That's
and
what they
sour,
call
that's
us.
it.
That's the new podcast
Silly
name.
and sour. Are there any
Silly and sour.
candies? Silly and sour.
Sweet and sour.
Sweet and
Sour
sour.
Patch Kids.
Silly and
we could be the
sour.
Sour Patch Kids. We look like Sour Patch Kids with these shirts
Sure.
on.
Happy Easter.
It is. Happy Easter, Sour Patch Kids.
I know we're wearing green and pink. That's
I don't know if that's what Sour Patch Kids sound
Sure.
like. So, so anyways, so when we're guaranteeing a bestseller, so we have all these email joint venture partners, and then we have all these social media partners, whether it's like micro influencers, whether it's Amazon influencers, UGC content people. A lot of those Amazon influencers, for example, when they're launching products, they're doing reviews. They're not only sharing it on their like little Amazon store, but they're also sharing it on their Instagram page. One of the launches we did, I was working with this Amazon influencer, and she has like 825 or 850,000 followers on Instagram for like products,
Great.
And so it's one of those type of things where you find the right, and it has to be the right niche, right people, whatever else. And so we're partnering with both the social media groups that we're a part of, right? The 500,000 social media groups and micro influencers that can get, again, up to 1 million followers, whatever else. Email list from like 250,000 to 1 million. We're launching all of that at the same time. I might text my mom and be like, "Hey, get this book." There's also that. She usually gets that extra, sale to bump us. That's really it.
Push it over the line.
That final one. But so that's how we coordinate it. And so how we can guarantee it, to kind of answer that specific question, is because if we don't hit it the first time, like we have our launch date, we publish, we wait about 2 weeks after we published the client to actually schedule the bestseller launch. Then we do the bestseller launch. And if that day or that couple of days, if we don't hit that top 10 Amazon bestseller list, then we do it again. And we do it again, and we do it again, and we do it again until we get that top 10 bestseller list. That is the guarantee. And just like we talked about, and you've said it 1,000 times as well, is that historically we hit number one, at least one of the categories, if not multiple. And that's really... that's really the big win. So that's the guarantee.
Yeah.
There.
And it's funny because at the same time, we also tell our clients, like, don't give a shit about book sales.
Yeah.
That's not where there will be money in book sales, but that's not where the ROI comes in. You want to talk on that, or?
I do, because there's this misconception. When I remember this as myself when I first was writing my first book, The Human Experience, and I was getting ready to publish, and I'm like, okay, I do this launch right, and I'm doing the math in my head, and this is every client. Every client that brings up the book sales, there's got their pen and paper. Probably not, because it's
Amazon
2024.
takes this, I'm gonna sell for this much. Amazon takes this much.
What's my
if I
margins?
sell this many.
Yes, if I can get $5 per book, and then if I sell X amount of books, I'll make all this money. It'll pay for this, and I'll have the. And it's like, and that's great, and it's nothing against that goal of having that idea. That's not the point, And I did that too. I was calculating off $1 when I was writing my first book, and I was like, listen, if Eckhart Tolle can sell millions of copies, all I need to do is sell 7 million copies. That's it.
At $1 a piece.
At $1 a piece,
Yeah.
I got $7 million.
I guess $1 to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because I just assumed the publisher would take, which is probably true, take everything else. And I'll just take $1 per book, and I'll make $7 million. It's going to be great. And then, I'll start doing the rest of the things. Now, everyone else might have different numbers in their mind. It might not be 7 million. Maybe it's 100,000 or whatever. But that's just not really the reality of it. And so you can get book sales, but there's clients that I know that sell 20 books in a year and make $1 million a year, or over $1 million a year, 1.5 million from speaking consulting, their business
because
growth.
Because of the book opened the door.
Because of the book.
Yeah.
Right. They scaled the business. Or, we've had clients at these financial firms, and I'm not going to name names because NDAs, but the big ones, and everyone can put that piece together, where they're like, well, I don't want to, I love this. I'm senior management or VP or C-suite, and CXO, whatever it is. And they're like, I don't want to leave my job. And, I love my golden parachute. I don't want to leave this job and go do consulting and speaking right now, but I might later, and so that's kind of the same conversation. I'm segueing a little bit here, but that same conversation we have with them, like I talked to the client, and I'm like, listen, you don't have to quit your job to do this. You have to have a very small handful of calls every 1 to 2, 3 weeks, whatever, so a couple times a month. And we do every single thing. Is that Murphy? Mm-hmm. Okay, I just don't want to turn.
Shout out Murphy.
Shout out Murphy.
What's up, man?
When it's over, that's the time the podcast starts again. Can you sign me yet? Can we? By the way, I know this is live on our podcast. My niece, I guess, plays the bass. So I'm gonna have to get a little.
I'll get in there.
Thing. Yeah,
hey, there we go.
Ooh,
you can't see me, but hi, this is Murphy. Just to reference that you're hearing someone you can't see.
Ooh.
Yeah. Welcome.
Well, especially if they're listening to the audio, they're not seeing it anyways.
That's true.
So you said your
my niece Chloe.
Awesome.
She has been playing the bass, and I had no idea. And I was showing her your book, and then she was like, "Oh, I play the bass," and I was like, How did I not know that?" And so I was like, I'll
Did you tell her,
connect you guys.
You want to meet someone really cool?
Yeah, I tried to explain it. My sister is like 9 years older than me, so she loved the music. I grew up with your music. My niece had no idea. She's Gen Z. She's like 18. She had no idea about anything. Then we showed her some clips, and she was like, "This is amazing," because that's all now trending.
Yeah,
like,
90s is kind of hitting right now. It's the 80s for me a while back or something, but it's kind of fun that it's around now. Yeah.
Yeah, like you could relaunch the whole band today, and it would be like #1 everywhere. The same songs. It'd be like this new hit.
I'll just take it that it's okay that we're heard in Dick's Sporting Goods. That's
there
good.
You go. That's the spot.
That's success. That's success to me.
It's there in REI.
Yeah.
That's that's where we're vibing.
It is cool though. Yeah, how all that music is like becoming repopularized, which is awesome.
Yeah,
super
cool.
It's
actually good
songs.
music then. Yeah. We had a lot of garbage for the last 20 years. So
make sure to tell Chloe that I said thumbs up.
Keep going. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Go for it.
For those listening, he just did a thumbs up motion.
Just in case.
Just to piece it together, yeah.
Just, yeah. So, thank you, Murphy.
Now we're back.
And
back to the show. Wow, you did it live.
I actually hit solo. There we go. Now we're back.
Now we're back.
And
there we
back
go.
to the show.
So
This episode is sponsored by Sugar Ray.
when it's over. That was great. So with the so let me finish the Morgan Stanley thing. Oops, I said it.
Now we
Those
gotta
type
cut
of
that. All right, we gotta cut.
I could have meant anything by that. No one knows. No, so any of those kind of big financial firms or other places, we don't have to actually cut it. It'll be fine. Yeah, we're not under NDA with the specific person at Morgan Stanley. There's some other ones very similar to Morgan Stanley, so we're
great.
okay.
That's true. That's a good point.
Yes, very similar
The company,
to Morgan.
we didn't sign an NDA with the company.
And
those listening.
with that specific company, and it could be anyone. No one really knows. So they don't have to quit their job, though. That's the thing. Whether it's there,
cool.
whether it's
Write down
anywhere
to cut it.
else.
We don't have to do
yeah,
that.
we don't have to cut
Great.
that.
We're live.
We're live, and we're back.
We're back.
So they don't have to cut any of that. Sorry, they don't have to quit the job. What they can do is finish write the book with us. Then we get the speaking engagements for them. Then show them how to do the not only speaking engagements but the consulting, all of that. And one of the big things that is really important. He's taking notes, everybody. I love it when he takes notes. That's good.
I'm listening. No, I'm here. I'm present.
One of the things that's really important with that is that they can.
What if I was sending an email? I'm
listen, one more thing.
You just keep doing your thing.
No, I'll call Mom. I'll call you back.
on.
Mom, come
I'm
on.
in the middle of a
in the middle
thing.
this. So is that they can write the book, they can launch it, they can do the speaking. They don't have to do the book sales. They don't have to. They can get book sales again, and I'll finish up the part about book sales. They can get speaking. They can get consulting. They can wait 5 years and then do it, right? And this is the concept of that second mountain. Like when you're on your first mountain, you're climbing this ambition. You're on this, and I can't remember this author's name, but you wrote a book called Second Mountain. And you're on that ambition. You're climbing. You're building. You're doing everything. And then you get to that moment where you're like, okay, I've climbed the top of this mountain, and now I need a different type of mountain and to climb, more meaning, more impact. A higher purpose, and that's that second mountain, and more time with family, all these different things. So that's what we talk about. Whether it's you want to do this in 5 years or next year, start it now and build that brand up, build that avenue up, and then you can do that. Why did I segue into that from the topic of book sales? Is because some of the clients that add up the math and want to say, hey, I have to sell 30 books or 30,000 books or whatever it is to make X amount of money, so I can pay for this and I can do this and I can do whatever. That's great, have that goal. But there's clients that we have that have sold 20 books, but they've used the books, they've made no book sales, right? But they've used the book to do the launching and consulting, the speaking, or even for those, the financial executives I'm talking about, they use it to actually gain additional higher level positions in the company, saying like, actually, I wrote this book, I did this. And so now they've made multiple six figures and new added annual revenue from their salary.
Yeah.
With using the book as a vehicle. So there's all these different kind of ways of doing that.
I just thought of something.
Yeah.
Watch out. No. This is a business chat here. I don't know. We may want to cut this, but this is an idea. I wonder if. No. This is good. We can cut it.
No, we're not going to cut anything.
I wonder if.
I fought to keep this in here. If everyone sees this, just so you know. I don't even know what it is yet, but I fought tooth and nail.
Yeah. I wonder. So on. When it comes to book sales, I wonder if part of the problem is the expectation we're setting up for the clients. Because it's so cool to say, not only did we deliver, but like, hey, you're a bestseller, and that's awesome. And I wonder if we almost need to, this is the idea, is almost maybe not even make it like but almost make it just like, of course you were. We said you were going to, and now here you are. And then, but really celebrate the completion of the journey, which is like, hey, now you're set up to do like really celebrate the final stages.
That makes sense.
You know what I'm saying? So I wonder if it's because we're putting so much build up on the book launch that people are like, well, I want this or I want that, but it's really like we're setting them up for the wrong expectation, Well, we should be celebrating the different part.
I get what you're saying. I agree. We should celebrate all of it.
An additional part. I was going to say.
We should celebrate all of it.
Yeah.
So like when we publish, though, I do get really excited, and I think the team does this too.
Yeah.
Like, hey, congratulations, you're a published author.
It's cool.
That is a huge accomplishment.
Published author, bestseller.
Then the bestseller is another thing. The people that actually have the different expectations aren't actually the clients as much. Our clients usually are just blown away because by the time they get to the point of being a published author, our clients forget that we're doing all this marketing, all this PR, all this consulting, showing them how to do speaking. They're like, oh, that's amazing. I forgot that was even a part of it. So like, so I think that part isn't really as much of a letdown. It's new potential clients. When someone gets on a team or call with our team before they start working with us, and it's kind of this again, it's just like my thought, 9 years ago, that it was going to be, I'm going to write this book, publish it, make $1 per book, set millions of dollars from millions of book sales, thinking that was just what you do. And you write a book, and again, everything happens.
So setting the expectation up front.
And so this is why it's like, but just don't come into this saying, okay, well, I'm going to invest X amount of money into whatever the thing is. You're building this business for yourself, and then I'm just going to sell a bunch of books, and that's going to pay for, my trips to wherever.
Yes.
Can that? So this
writing,
is, and then
more things down.
Yeah, no, write them down. Write them down.
Yeah, keep going. I like this.
Yeah, text everyone. Tell them I said hi. No, it's fine.
No, keep going.
I'm joking. But I think one of the things that's really important is, and we try to tell this to some of our sales teams, or our marketing team, fulfillment team. It's not that you can't get book sales. And Jaclyn Hurst, one of our past clients.
Not under NDA.
Not under NDA. No, she's all over the website. She's super cool with it. She's actually gotten some messages before. People are like, "Hey, do you know Corey?" And she's like, and she'll text me and be like, "Do you want me to say anything back?" And I'm like, "You're amazing. Thank you. I appreciate you." But it's her business too. So I'm like, you don't need to respond to anybody if you don't want to, but you feel free to if you want to. And she's amazing in so many ways. I could go on. I could do a whole podcast about her, but maybe I'll invite her on the podcast. Actually,
that'd be great.
It's a good point. But with her, for example, she's been so successful in her life coaching, which is an absolutely amazing, programs and offerings that she has, and in her book sales, right? And selling thousands of copies. I mean, last I checked in with her, there's 12,000 copies. It's probably more now. And she's gotten her book offers, and book deal offers, everything's been negotiated and stuff. All these different amazing things that have happened. And so you can make thousands of dollars per year from book sales. Are you trying not to laugh at that?
No, I really have to I really have to pee, and I'm fidgeting.
Everyone, right now, he's peeing under the table.
And so I'm smiling, and I feel like I have to say, because I'm smirking on the camera, and I want people to think I'm smirking about.
You're smirking.
I'm gonna do we're gonna cut, and we're back. Welcome back to Page Turners by Authrs.io. We have bladders emptied and ready to go.
There you go, Mr. Peabody.
Mr. Peabody.
What we were talking about how amazing Jaclyn Hurst is, and I love her, and she is great. And so her business is super successful. Her coaching is amazing. Her program and offer is amazing. And then her book sales. Last checked, it was 12,000. She's going even more probably since then. That was months ago. And so there's people like her that can get thousands of books sold year in and year out.
Yes.
And then and make money, multiple six figures from coaching, consulting, advising, all of that. Then there's people on the same side that can sell 20 books and again make multiple six figures, $1 million, whatever it is in consulting and speaking. So it can vary. There's ways to do book sales. There's ways to do Amazon ads. One of our friends, our mutual friends, makes like $10,000 or $11,000 every single month from book sales. So there's ways to do that. Our whole focus is on positioning, credibility, authority, putting you as that superstar, center of stage, speaking, consulting, that best-selling author status, and how to monetize that. And again, we've talked about it this whole podcast. There's 100 different ways to monetize that. So many different examples. Book sales are a part of it, but it's really not our main focus. But if people want to, there's ways to do that. Okay.
I love it. That was a great.
Thank you.
A great little.
Thank you.
Bow on it.
Little bow. That's what.
Bow.
A little bow. Let's talk about things.
Any fulfillment questions?
Talk about things. How do we? What's the? Ooh.
We wrote some questions beforehand.
Well, I did want to talk about. Well, we didn't. This is all memory. This is not me looking over here at the questions. I wanted to talk about the cover designs. Talk about the cover designs and how we go about creating those, and then also some content from clients. I mean, there's so much to writing a book, and anyone who's tried to write or even think about it, this is why we have so many clients, because it's not an easy process. So book covers, why they're so important, how we get that, and then also diving into just the content gathering, right? And the book covers are part of that. Knowing what book cover they want, and also what's going to actually sell.
Yeah.
So.
Great questions. And I'd love to riff on it. Mm-hmm. And to your point too, the saying I want to write a book seems really straightforward until you get into the weeds of okay, well, 50,000 words. I'm currently at 0. Mm-hmm. And okay, how many? 12 chapters. Let's say 4,000 words a chapter. So that's it's a very real feeling. Being I'm going to tackle this, and then oh fuck, this is a huge undertaking.
Yep.
So how do we collect content? So my whole intention, and I mention this when I meet with clients too, like my whole intention is to make it as easy and fun for them as possible. So if they've done a speech in the past, or they have a transcript of a thing or an outline or a presentation they did, they can absolutely send it over. We will absolutely incorporate it. But the big thing for them is like, we're going to jump on between 3 and 5 as of this recording. This can always change. We might be able to shorten it up or make it longer depending. But in this moment, just one
someday, one
super
long,
intense call,
yeah.
Or some sort of like neurotransfer, just brain dump,
telepathic,
a literal brain dump. But in this moment, it's like we do a handful of like content recording calls. They're roughly about an hour long. And what we're doing is we are going through the outline. We're digging for specific stories, specific experiences to build it out. But really the whole thing is like, a lot of times clients will ask like before these calls, like, hey, should I prepare some notes? Should I get ready for it? Should I write some stuff beforehand? And I say you absolutely can if you want, if that is fun for you. But the whole intention is for this to be super easy.
Yep, they don't have to do anything.
Fun. You're busy. You're running your own business empire. You're working with this government agency or what have you. You've got a lot going on. You can just show up on the call and trust that me or you or whoever your client success manager, we call them CSMs, will be prepared with questions ready to go. So, and that is normally plenty to work with to then hand off to those recordings, those transcripts that get hand off to the writer. They build out the actual content of the book, the chapters 1 and 2 and so on.
Yeah.
And so it's normally plenty to work with. And then if there is any supplemental stuff, if they've written an article on something in the past or they want this or that, we can absolutely add it in.
Some style of their voice or something they loved, or someone else's voice that they really love, right? Then they can provide that. Yeah, I love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So again, try and make it as easy, as fun for them to just be able to jump on a call, share their story, share their experiences. It feels so that the calls, because again, I've been doing so many of these content calls lately, and they're so fun for both parties. They're fun for me as someone who loves asking these questions. They're fun for them. The hour flies by. It almost feels like it just feels like a fun conversation. So
again, like you were saying the other day, you're like, I'm just taking notes. Like this
I'm just taking notes.
This is amazing.
It's so cool because we talked about this at the beginning. Like I love reading and I love learning new things. And so the clients we're working with I'm talking directly to the author of the book I would be reading anyway.
Yeah,
so
you're the ideal reader of the book.
I tend to be the ideal reader of our clients, as in like they're writing books to like executives running a team, or they're writing a book on persistence or topics I find fascinating anyway. So I'm asking questions on behalf of the readers who will be reading it, and so I'm personally taking notes, but I'm also like focused on making sure that their book is coming first and foremost. It's a fun, enjoyable experience.
I love it. Yeah.
So the point of the cover designs, there's a couple different ways we can have this conversation, but the gist is we balance your preferences and what you want to see design-wise, and also what we know will do well.
Exactly.
So looking at the covers that are like trending really well on Amazon, for instance, versus like you really like this color, even though maybe this color, whatever, X, Y, Z.
Yeah, because it's a thumbnail, right? It's like YouTube thumbnails, why they're so important. Mr. Beast will spend millions of dollars on testing 5 different thumbnails for one video. Same thing with the cover designs. So very important.
And also too, again, back to the balancing their design preferences versus what we know will work. You and I have been talking on the side about this, how designs right now, specifically on Amazon, are not, they're kind of funky. They have a weird spin on them lately.
Even some like reels and different designs on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, or Instagram, whatever. There's a certain fonts and colors and kind of things that for us are like that. It feels a little
almost like amateur or something. But it's like that's kind of like
it's this trending thing.
On a couple recordings ago, you talked about, was it like the New York Times or one of the big online publishers was coming out with like, this is the color of the season. It's this weird green, and you're like, what is this?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
and then everyone in there's like, oh my, it's amazing. And for us, it's like, well, how do we give them what we know is going to get the clicks and get the sales with what they want, with also saying there's a line we're not going to cross with. I don't know how trending it is. Yeah. We're just not going to do it, but we're going to pull that in as much as we can. We're going to let that
influence us, knowing that we want to help you as much as we can and will, and then also balancing your preferences as well. So like I know right now what we do is we meet, we say, hey, here are 2 different cover designs. One is like a black and white photo of the author. Another one is a bright orange bold text. Which one do you like more? Why?
Boom, boom.
Do you like the author's image? Do you not? Do you like the boldness? No. Okay, let's move on to the next kind of pictures. So we look at, and we do that like 5 or 6 different times, comparing all these covers.
Which I love it.
And by the end of it, we have a very clear idea of what is the cover going to look like, what is it not, and then we hand it off that recording or like those answers to our designer, who then makes that exact thing.
Which is so amazing, because it's not just about like choosing what you want; it's also eliminating what you don't want.
Yes.
And so that kind of like if then tree branch type of thing filters out which is just so cool. Because it filters out so many different things, and it's like, okay, here's here's what we're looking at, and then you obviously have their examples of what they love or things they think are cool. There's a couple different options, but it's like, well, through this process, we're going to know here's what it is. And then, clients have been loving it.
Yeah. And also we tend to do it towards the end of the book being written, so that it all comes together at the same time. Because like in the beginning, when they first come on board, we ask them like, hey, what are some covers that you like? And they'll share some, but by the time we get further along in the book, they have a much better idea of like, not just the covers that they like, but the ones that make sense for their book.
So true.
Because like they may have shared, I love these books with the authors on the thing, and I love the pictures here, but by the time we get to the end, they're like, that actually doesn't make any sense.
See how it's evolved.
You can see how it evolves, so you can kind of do the before and after.
Just like doing the introduction too. I mean, we don't, people are like, oh, we got to write the introduction first. And it's like, well, the introduction is going to be introducing a book, and if the book's not written, then what are we introducing?
What are you introducing? Yeah.
Let's get the book done, and then we're going to introduce it. And then like, oh, wow, look at how much has changed, or how much the content has evolved, or the person has evolved, or the career choice, or the direction, or all of that when it comes to not only the intention, but the branding, but the marketing, the launching, and all of that kind of evolves as it's going. And just one more thing I wanted to add on there with the fulfillment side, which I love so much, is that because, you specifically have worked so well on just like tightening up this amazing process that we have, that when, you have these, it used to be like we had to meet all the time with clients, and now we don't. Right?
In a time-intensive way for us, but also primarily the clients.
Yeah, and so because it was like, well, we don't want, again, to what you just said, we don't want to expect literally anything from clients but them to have to show up on that call and answer some questions. So if that's all we have to expect, how do we make that even more effective and efficient, where there is only just a handful of those calls? Then all the content's ready. Their assigned writer editor is doing their whole thing. And then you're meeting about the cover design. And then there's kind of the consulting and talking about the marketing and the launch and all that stuff, all within that happening. So it's just this great process. So there's no like, and just why I say that is because I'm working in traditional publishing in the past, like with different companies and authors and stuff. It's like, well, you have someone helping write a book or work on a book or launch a book, or a publishing company taking a look at it, and it's months, if not like years and years. Months is one thing. You get, that makes sense. Like where ours can be, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. It really depends on their availability and time and all that stuff. It can vary, right? But when you look at some of the traditional ones, it's like, it's years, and they're like, oh yeah, we like this title, and you're like, that was 14 months ago, and you gave me one sentence. Like, what do we, But it's this very slow process with traditional publishing. So I love it, even though it takes time to put out that quality, like we do. It's just so much more effective, and we're making use of every single step along the way. So,
and also on the last recording, just to kind of redact some stuff. Like on the last recording, we were talking about like, let's tighten up these timelines. Let's get it to 4 months every single time. But then to talking about it, like, there's so many things we want to add in. There's also so many, you want it to take more time a little bit, so that way there's time for ideas to like whatever resonate or
kind
marinate or bubble up or whatever. We want to add in more things and make the process that much better. So now it's like, now we tell people, hey, it's planned for 8 months, maybe a year, and it'll be a very fun time for you the whole way through, as in like, and to the point you were saying just a second ago in terms of like the calls. So now it's like the calls that you jump on are going to be fun. They're going to be easy. You just share what you want to share, and we do all the work on the back end. And then also when we're not on calls, you're getting frequent updates, but they're not anything you have to do. They're like, hey, chapter 1 is done. Nothing needed on your end. Just want to let you know. Hey, the cover's design is done. Like, maybe in that case we jump on it to go over Taylor, because that's always a fun call. But like, hey, like it's ready to be published, or like there's all these things that maybe were a call in the past are now like updates, and they're easier for the client.
Yeah, and there's always that calendar link if they ever want to have an additional call. But instead of just every single week, it's like it can be every couple of weeks, every 3 weeks,
with just a ton of updates in between. But like the updates are always like, here's the thing, but there's nothing needed on your end. You keep doing your thing. I'm just letting you know that things are getting taken care of over here.
Exactly. So you get that personal that personal touch, the high touch, but you also get a little bit more extra time on your calendar. And with that timeline, it's like we can, to the point of you making it so efficient, we actually can get it done if we're like boom, boom, boom. We want, but we can get it done in 4 months, right? But it's like, it doesn't mean that we want to have it published at that point, right? Because it's like, well, yeah, we can set the expectation of 8 months, 12 months, 6 months, whatever it is. We know we could do it in 4. But we want to take that extra time. We want to have an additional read through, not just from us. We want you to take your time, read through it,
and not feel like
your
rush.
Family. Yeah, we don't want you to feel pressure to do. You take a look through. Feel if you want any kind of changes here. And it gives just a little bit more flexibility, but it's not, again, this 14 months, 18 months for a title thing like traditional publisher.
And on our end too, then we don't feel like we have to like bother you to be like, hey, did you look at this? Did you look like waiting for an approval? Because then it's like, hey, you take your time.
Yeah.
Your job again is to just have fun with the experience and be able to share all these things. So I'm sending you to today. I'll follow up in a few days. If I don't hear back, I'll follow up in a few more after that.
There's no huge pressure for it.
There's no rush. Take your time, sleep on it, like do the whole thing.
Well, they have, a dozen of our team members working on their projects for them, which is
all
just
getting
amazing.
done behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So, and they can just focus on their thing. But I think we should probably wrap things up.
Well, this has been another episode of Turners of the Page.
Turners of the Page by Authrs.io.
Page Turners.
Thank you so much for being here, for listening, for watching us. Corey and Corey in the mix.
Yeah. Cole, Murph.
Cole and Murph. Fun as always.
Always here. Yes.
Thanks for being here.
It's amazing. Rock stars.
High
Let's
five.
go.
All right.